Welcome back to the latest episode of the Scoop College Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Hoop Scoop Media. So, just to get it out of the way, make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter/X at Hoop Scoop Media, YouTube. If you're watching this there, that would be great to subscribe as well. Gonna try to hopefully get some more consistent content out. But yeah. Got MLK Day off from school, so we are running this podcast. We have a lot to talk about. Been a crazy week in college basketball. This is shaping up to be a really fun year.
Yeah, there's a handful of good teams at the top, but I mean, it really feels like anybody's year. It could be Auburn and Duke, obviously those two teams at the top right now, but I don't know. 19 top 25 teams going down last week really sets the table for a good next 2 months.
Yes, 19 of the AP top 25 teams losing this week. Obviously, we're not huge fans of the AP poll. It's kind of useless, but still, like, what however you want to look at it, those are some of the best teams in the country. And I was looking at it a little bit further. The teams that did not suffer a loss this week: Auburn, Duke, Houston, Michigan State, Purdue, and Wisconsin. A lot of those teams did not have easy weeks by any means. What did Auburn beat Georgia by two? Duke took care of some bad ACC teams, but Houston got really lucky to win at UCF. Um, Michigan State barely beat Illinois. Like Purdue had a decently close game at Oregon. Wisconsin barely won against Ohio State. So like there is it's this is a fun season.
Yeah, especially you look at like the Auburn, Houston, Michigan State games. Those are all one possession games down to literally like the last play. So
Yes, Wisconsin too, I believe, versus Ohio State.
you could be right on that. Yeah.
I think I remember watching. But anyway, yeah, so it's quite a season of college basketball. We will talk about a variety of discussion points. I have 15 on the agenda. Going to be talking about a lot, so we're going to try to move fairly quickly. But yeah, haven't podcasted that much, so we're going to try to get through a good amount of content. So stick with us here. But yeah, Mick Cronin, he not one of our label discussion points, but shout out his press conferences. They're
I mean,
quite something.
he's been giving college basketball media content after every game, basically. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, I mean they won. Like they beat Iowa pretty handily, good win, and he still was able to give like some really nice press conference quotes with like the travel, and that was a
yeah.
good one.
Snapped a 4 game losing streak, and all that was on his mind was the fact that he already had seen the Statue of Liberty, or as he called it, the Eiffel Tower, twice this season. So,
Yes. Do we want to talk about the UMass Fordham game?
I mean, we can. I turned it on in triple overtime, so I got somewhat of a recap from just social media and everything, but. I don't know.
I
That's what
didn't
you live
watch
for
it,
in
but
college basketball.
yeah, that 122 total free throws. That is insanity.
And then we had Rasul Duggan's drop. What was it? 46.
46 program record for the
Ro
Minutemen.
He had
And yeah,
Rose Hill gym record as well, playing at Fordham, and there was a clip of him throwing up in a trash can like partway through the first half of that game as well, and then came back and did that. So yeah,
yes.
9 players fouled out, NCAA record, just
A
quality
lot of
basketball.
free throws. That was the most in over almost 30 years. Quite the game. I College basketball. That those things will happen in college basketball. That's
Yeah, you've got 3 like ranked v ranked SEC matchups that night, and then I don't know, over in the corner of your screen you've got UMass and Fordham going into a third overtime. So
yes. Shout out college basketball. It gives us a little bit of everything, including a little bit of whatever that was. But to get into our actual discussion points, first off, we're going to talk about a National Player of the Year race. It is January 20th, MLK Day, as I mentioned. We have about under 2 months left in the season, and two players have clearly separated themselves above the rest. That's Cooper Flag and Janai Broom, both on the clear two best teams in the country, at least in my opinion and in most other people's opinion. So, who what's your take on the National Player of the Year race?
I think, like personally, bias gets involved. I think I would want Janai Broom to win. I like just what he's done for Auburn this year, what he meant. Obviously a great non-conference slate, and then got hurt. What was it, a week ago now? Maybe a week and a half ago now,
Yes.
and missed the last few games. And Cooper Flag's kind of taken full advantage of that. 42 points against Notre Dame, had 28, 5 and 4, two steals, two blocks against Boston College yesterday. I think if he keeps putting these numbers up, Duke should run away with the ACC. They're probably more likely to go undefeated at this point than they are to lose a game. And I don't know. It's probably a matter of time before Auburn slips in the SEC. Janai Broom should be back end of this week, start of next week.
Yeah, I
But
saw I saw like a TikTok of him like dancing yesterday, so he's probably getting there.
yeah, I'm afraid it might be too late though. Cooper Fleck's kind of taken everybody by storm, and he definitely has the personality, the flair on his side. That's what happens when you play for Duke, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, I kind of have similar thoughts. Janai Broom, it seemed like it was his award for a little bit, and no offense to him, like he's still been good besides getting hurt, which I guess we'll see how he comes back. Like that could be a big thing. He might not be quite as good as he was immediately, but we'll see with that. But Cooper Flag has been on a completely different level recently. I don't know if I'd say like pretty clearly his, but like I think he's easily enough. Like he's
Yeah, you get
definitely the national player of the year for me right now. The thing is, like I mean, he does everything on the court, but like non-con, he was like not shooting it like super efficiently. I mean, he was still getting buckets, and but like now he's just like been that efficient scorer, been that number one guy, and having 42 points in a game recently. Like he is doing everything on the court, and now when the shots are falling, there's nothing he can't do. Duke is either the number one or two team in the country, and I I'd be surprised at this point if Cooper Flag does not win at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I dropped my midseason All-American teams like New Year's Eve, and I had a lot of people hating on the Cooper Flag pick, which to me just did not make sense. And like, there wasn't the scoring numbers there, sure, but you watch the games, you see how he affects it, and now he's added that scoring to his arsenal. Talked about the big games against Notre Dame, Boston College,
Yes.
albeit those two programs, but it should only continue in the ACC.
Yes, I mean he's one of the best defenders in the country. I don't know if there's like a defensive team. I mean, some publication probably puts it out, but he would be on that. Like he and he's like should be in high school right now. Crazy, crazy player. College basketball is very lucky to have him, especially in a sport where there's been some top high school prospects take other routes as of recently. Nice to have a guy like him for everything for the sport. It's for publicity. No downsides to having a player like Cooper Flag. So yeah, now moving to our next point, the Big Ten, the top of the Big Ten. We didn't really know what it was going to look like going into the season, and I don't think we still really know what it looks like. But I guess we're gonna try to rank the top six teams if that's what we were going to do.
Yeah, I kind of tiered them out. So in my eyes, there's six teams now in the Big Ten that are at least a step above the rest. I don't know, that could still be controversial, just the way
Okay.
the league is going. But yeah, I split them into three tiers of two. I had a 1A, a 1B, and then a tier two. So I guess I can go first if you want. Um,
Yes.
I went I went Michigan State and Purdue at the top. Purdue had the early loss to Penn State in the December Big Ten games, but otherwise both those teams have been unmarked in conference play. Purdue's looked really good. I got a chance to see them play at Minnesota live. Braden Smith is just
Hmm.
He's all of a sudden underrated after I don't know. It was seen as he was just kind of riding the success of Zach Edey, and now
Yes.
he's got his
Turns
own
out
team, and
he is not a Zach Eating merchant. Not like he ever was, but like no one can push that agenda anymore.
and I mean 6 foot point guard. His defensive ability has really showed.
Mhm.
Had a couple of nice steals against Oregon. Leads the conference in steals right now. Obviously, steals aren't everything, but yeah. So I have those two teams up top. Michigan State obviously getting the big win over Illinois yesterday. You can talk about the foul trouble, controversial calls for KJ. Yeah, Kashonis for Illinois. Um, Illinois, I put in the 1B tier, though. Just they do already have 3 conference losses, the early one to Northwestern and now USC and Michigan State. I think they might have the highest ceiling, even still, just the
Mm,
talent on that team.
100%.
And then in 1B with Illinois, I have Michigan. Bit skeptical on the guard play still. But I mean, Danny Wolf, Vlad Golden, those two are amazing. And if Vlad Golden shoots a three like he did yesterday against Northwestern, then that's a scary sign for the rest of the Big Ten. And then tier two, Wisconsin, Oregon, both have had good wins, but are just kind of a step below those other four in my eyes.
Yeah, I would kind of rank it similar. I think right now I have Purdue like clearly ish number one. Michigan State has been amazing recently. I still don't know like why Michigan State is like so good. Like I guess Izzo, like I guess they play defense, but I don't know. They feel like they're a really good team, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It
even
just
yesterday it felt like Illinois kind of got them out of the transition game, but they still just got enough timely buckets. And yeah, there's not one guy you can stop to stop Michigan State.
yes, that it is part of it. But yeah, I think I have Purdue clearly at number one. And next tier I would have Illinois, Michigan State, and Michigan. That was the order I had it in. I think Illinois is still better than Michigan State, but again, head to head doesn't mean much really. But yeah, I think I would still put Illinois there. They probably win the game if the fouls are a little differently, but again, that's playing with hypotheticals at that point. And Oregon and Wisconsin, I have rounding out in that order. But yeah, who knows what could happen? I'm pretty sure we both had UCLA winning the conference when we did a podcast like 20 days ago, looking ahead at everything. So
I I don't know. I felt good about that pick at the time, but
yeah, well, they had the road
yeah.
win at Oregon, but turns out like no, just like everyone wins at Oregon because like those like the four new Big Ten schools just have like no home court.
Yeah, I think from what we've seen, the Northwest trip is harder, although everybody somehow still scrapes a win at Oregon, but I don't know.
Yeah.
UCLA, USC, those atmospheres are
Definitely not. Yeah, definitely not
bad,
the hardest road atmospheres to play for the quality of the programs themselves. Um,
especially when you look at the rest of the conference.
yes. Moving elsewhere in the Big Ten, two teams that have done the opposite of winning lately. That is Penn State and Nebraska, both moving their way down quickly, perhaps you could say. Both on losing streaks. Both have lost four in a row, to be exact. Who do you have more confidence in? Maybe getting on the right side of the bubble by the end of the season. Maybe turning things around a little bit more between the two.
Yeah, I've been taking a look at bracketology recently or tried to formulate one of my own, so I'm not too sure where these teams side right now, but I think just overall confidence level, I would lean Penn State. Ace Baldwin had a pretty rough stretch. I think he's finally back on track. Had a good game against Michigan State, hit 20 points, 9 assists. They kept that one close on the road. And Nebraska on the road, on the other hand, has got the doors blown off them a couple times. Michigan State game. Um, they
Purdue.
just lost on the road at Purdue. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
another 28,
Maryland was
30 point
close, but like
loss.
Maryland also doesn't really have a great home core. Anyway, though,
Yeah,
unless you want to say something else.
I mean, it's just kind of the agenda I've been pushing for the last what 4 months now. Ace Baldwin, Mike Rhodes. I'll trust in him once again.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm sticking with my agenda as well because I have Nebraska. Think they're the better team. I did have Penn State last in the Big Ten preseason. I did say it many times. I did not think they were going to finish last, but I just think they have like a little bit less talent than everyone else. They've definitely impressed me. They've definitely been better than I thought. Even with I knew they were going to be like solid enough not to like bottom out, but I think Nebraska's just a little bit better team. I mean, I guess neither team's like losing streaks have been like horrible. I guess Nebraska probably should have beat Rutgers at home, but Rutgers is also like a weird team that can like kind of beat you based on their star power. I
Yeah,
think
I
Nebraska just
mean,
has more talent. They have a more clear go-to guy, in my opinion, in Bryce Williams. Penn State, H. Baldwin isn't really like a go-to guy in the same sense. I think Nebraska's a little bit better team, maybe a little bit better coach. I think that's kind of marginal, but I think I still kind of trust them in the long run a little bit more. We'll see if either team gets back, though.
yeah, Bryce Williams you can really lean on if you're Nebraska. But yeah, just going back to that point about like the losing streaks, you lose one game that you aren't supposed to, like Penn State to Indiana or Nebraska to Rutgers, and all of a sudden you've got two really good teams like sandwiching that on the other side, and now you're in a downhill trend, which is really what's happened to both these teams.
I will say, though, Nebraska does have opportunities coming up. Um, I guess I don't remember if I looked at Penn State's schedule, but yeah. I mean, Nebraska has USC at home. They need to win that game, but after that, they go to Wisconsin, Illinois at home, then they go to the Pacific Northwest. They're gonna have their work cut out for them, and those four games, Wisconsin, Illinois, and then those two Pacific Northwest games on the road, especially Washington, honestly, because like you don't want to lose that one, but you like could easily lose that one. So yeah, that'll be telling for sure. Moving
Yeah,
to
yeah.
yeah,
Penn State. Just a note on that, they've kind of got their get right game too, home against Rutgers, which is
yeah,
one they need to have, and that one's I believe this afternoon or this evening.
okay. Yeah, but moving to the Big 12, Houston, Iowa State, they've probably established themselves above the rest, maybe Kansas in there, but two teams that actually played the other day, Arizona or Texas Tech, who is the bigger challenger to the top tier, top two, three teams ish in the conference? Now, I'll start with that. I just want to say no. They did play each other the other day. Texas Tech won pretty comfortably, but head to head is overrated. And now
Yeah,
saying that,
well, and yeah,
saying that, I do have Texas Tech.
they'll play again in a couple weeks at Arizona. So
Yes, you did. Yes, it was at Texas Tech. But saying that, like, I do have Texas Tech still, but not really because they just like beat Arizona. Like head to head is definitely overrated. Body of work matters a lot more. Um, and Texas Tech doesn't have a great body of work, but it's starting to build up. They're starting to get those Q1 wins. One of them, obviously, just being Arizona. And like they're a team the metrics love. The talent is there. JT Toppin healthy, which I mean he's healthy now. Hopefully he stays healthy for the rest of the season. We talked about him and Darian Williams being one of the best duos in the country, probably the best forward duo in the country. Can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but yeah, Elijah Hawkins, elite passer, got some elite glue guys around them. Arizona, like I do think they're a lot better than maybe their lackluster starts this season, but I I still really like Texas Tech. They're starting to get the resume to inch towards their amazing metrics.
yeah, and defensively they really shut down Arizona and Arizona's backcourt that was really on a roll now. I went Texas Tech as well. I kind of forgot they had played on Saturday when I wrote this down, and then I went
There's
to
so
like
many games. There's so many
look back,
games.
and yeah, Texas Tech had just won. I don't know, kind of ruins that. But yeah, you talked about the forwards. Watching Texas Tech, I watched the game against BYU. Elijah Hawkins really impressed me. That one he took over with his scoring. I think he had 4 threes in the first half, and then just his playmaking, his decision making, made a bunch of big plays to keep them in it against Iowa State. That one ended up being a 1 point loss in overtime, and then had 9 assists yesterday against or Saturday against Arizona. So I think he's really the key. I got to watch him a lot last season with Minnesota, and I knew what he
Yes.
was capable of, especially with a much better surrounding group of
Yes.
talent.
Yes. But buy your Texas Tech stock now, like if you haven't. Just like a message, like they're still kind of flying under the radar, not getting like a ton of national respect as kind of a team that hasn't had the resume, but buy stock in them now, like if you can, because you're not going to be able to like do that under the radar for any longer.
Yeah, they're only 13-4, but they're 12th in Ken Palm.
I don't
Going to be
think they're
moving up
ranked.
there. I No, they aren't.
They
At
could
least
be whenever the rankings come out. I don't know if they come out
after
today.
after these 19 teams lost.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'll see if
but
the AP rankings did just drop while we've been
did it
recording.
come out today? If it's a holiday, I don't know if
That's
that
actually a good point.
matters or not.
Um, Nothing yet, but I
I think
can
they come out at like noon. It's
keep the
like
tab open. Yeah.
11:34. Who cares? Texas Tech is good. Anyway, moving on to some other teams, kind of more different angle at the bottom of some conferences. Kansas State and Arkansas. They are at the bottom of the conference standings, or towards the bottom. Arkansas has not won a game in SEC play. K-State won at least a game in Big 12 play, but they are bad. Um,
Yeah, 1 and
but they
5,
have money.
15.
They have money. Um, a lot of money, in fact. Tons of money, one might say. K-State's estimated NIL budget, who knows what it really was. 5, 6 million, whatever. They paid Coleman Hawkins 2 million. They have a lot of money. Arkansas as well. They got that chicken nugget money. Calipari. They got money, and those teams both suck. So what are our thoughts on this?
I mean, I think going into the season, there was skepticism with the roster construction. K-State had like a lot of these big wings or just bigs in general. Angasan, Hawkins, Okoronkwo who left the team already. But
He's
I
yes.
think yeah, that roster was pretty strange, you could say. And then Arkansas, I don't know, they only started the season with like 9 scholarship guys, I think. That was some injuries. And now just nothing's clicked. John L. Davis isn't what he was supposed to be, which I haven't watched too much Arkansas. I can't really say why Davis hasn't turned out the way he should, but yeah, I don't know.
He's
I think
like,
Calipari said in a presser the other day that this was a lot more difficult than he thought it was going to be. So,
yeah, I don't know. The thing with Davis, like, just like looking like he's like not like being used that much. Like, I don't know if that's on him, if that's on Calipari, but like his usage rate's like 16%. Like, he was the guy at FAU. He was like legitimately good at FAU. Like, he is not just like some like I mean, I guess he's like a bust, but like just like based on all the circumstances, but like he is legitimately good. Like I know he can play.
yeah, he outshined Elijah Martin last year at FAU, and now Martin's
Yeah.
having a great season at Florida, and Davis is struggling to figure things out at Arkansas.
Yes. Like against like Arizona last year, like he can play. Like I mean many games he was a star, but that was one I vividly remember. Like I don't know, but Calipari's washed. Yeah.
The jury's now out on Jerome Tang. I'm worried.
He's
The
he's
fact I had
he's
to put him in
cooked.
this boat.
He's cooked. Um, yeah, I don't know. He's and this is a horrible year. Like I don't know if he's gonna get fired, but like based on the money that like I don't know like if they're gonna have enough money to fire him, maybe because they found enough money to pay not guys that
Coleman Hawkins.
yeah
Yeah.
whatever. He's I if you can fire him, you gotta fire him. I don't know. There was K-State though. It was like bad NIL management from the start. Like they had a lot of money. Coleman Hawkins is good. Do you pay him 2 million? Probably not. But like that wasn't even the worst. They paid Ugonna and Yenso like 800K or something. And like I mean he's been hurt, but like he's not. He's just like a rim protector that doesn't do anything offensively. Okorakor's been gone from the team, and they paid him like allegedly like $1 million. Tang like doesn't even play Doug McDaniel some games. Um,
Yeah, Hawkins is the one where it's like that was later on in the portal, like 2 million, whatever. But it's like he just does not really fit what K State is. Like I feel like they lean on him too much. Whereas last year he could kind of take that back seat. You got guys like Terrence Shannon Jr. at Illinois.
yeah, and like its best players have been like Gasson and Brendan Hausen, who like weren't even like the budget guys, like weren't even the big money guys. Like Max Jones has been good, and like I don't know, bad NIL management. NIL doesn't win you games. It just gets you money. And you need coaching, you need fit. All of that still matters. You can't win by solely spending alone, but you can definitely win with a combination of NIL and good roster management, all that stuff. Arkansas, K-State, you cannot win by money alone. And they tried to win by money alone. Can't do it. Um, Moving to the SEC, though, the same conference as Arkansas, moving to the top of the conference, I mean, Auburn's definitely the best team in the conference. Um, I guess, yeah, I mean, they haven't lost in a minute, so can't really argue with that. But who are the best three teams in the SEC behind Auburn? I'm gonna let you
Yeah, I
go
mean,
first on this one.
you look at this. Let me just count up the Ken Palm quick, including Auburn. You've got 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 teams in the top 35. Like that just goes to show the depth. There's 7 teams in the top 20, 8 in the top 22. So it's hard to figure this out, make this list. But I went Auburn or Auburn won. Yeah, obviously
Yeah.
the three behind them. I went Alabama, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. I think Alabama is not talked about at all, or not talked about as much as they should. They're like consensus top 5 now, and I feel like it's almost under the radar. Have a lot of big road wins to open SEC play. I believe 2 or 3 have come on the road. Yeah, South Carolina, A&M, and then Kentucky on Saturday. Really like what I've seen from them. Tennessee has the 2 losses now after falling at Vanderbilt, but it's been a cold stretch for Chasanier. I've got a lot of trust in Rick Barnes, Kai Ziegler. I think they figure things out. People were calling them frauds when they were number 1 in the country. They aren't a number 1 team in the country, but I I, I feel confident they're somewhere between 6 and 10. And then I went Ole Miss. Just really impressed with them, even in the loss at Missouri State Saturday. Really good balance, elite defense, and just so much experience all over the court. And they proved that winning at Alabama earlier this week. So
Yes. I have similar to what you did. I have Alabama there. Again, I agree with you. Kind of flying under the radar because Auburn is so good. But they've been pretty decent themselves. Shooting hasn't quite been there this season, but I think the talent is there. Like they're still very good. I mean, they're top 10 Ken Palm team. Been playing pretty decent basketball lately outside of the loss to Ole Miss at home. Yeah, defense is improved, not great, but compared to what they had last year, it's very good. I have Florida next. Had the home loss to Mizzou, not great, but they did follow that up with killing Texas. Texas isn't that good, but definitely at least a little bit of a get back win. Kind of needed to get a big one there, and yeah, that was nice. I think and yeah. And then I have Ole Miss as the third team there. Again, I wasn't very high in Ole Miss preseason, and it's another team that I'm like still trying to figure out why they're so good, but they are very good. And I guess the answer to why they're so good is their defense is Chris Beard. He wasn't gonna have 2 bad defenses in a row. Very good team on that end. Got some good offensive production out of some transfers like Malik Diaz, Sean Padula. Um, yeah, that's really all just clicking there. Tennessee, I had just outside. You mentioned Lanier's kind of falling off a little bit. I don't know that he's even. I mean, he's good, but like it was predictable. Like Tennessee's offense is something I don't trust. Still a very good team. Not going to go far in March because of that. So yes, three teams after Auburn. I had Alabama, Florida, and Ole Miss. Yes. Any more thoughts on those, or do we want to
No,
move on?
I like that you included Florida. I'm still, I don't know. I was never really in on them, and then the home loss to Mizzou. Mizzou is definitely flying under the radar. We'll talk about them here in a second,
We will
but
talk about them right now, actually. Yeah, two teams that let me get the numbers on this. Last year in conference play, they won a total of four games, Missouri and Vanderbilt, and those four wins were all by a very bad Vanderbilt team. Mizzou was very bad at Weld. Analytics will show you they were better than Vanderbilt, but at that point, you're just yeah, they both were very bad. Um, Last year, Vanderbilt, new coach Mark Byington, Mizzou running it back with Dennis Gates, kind of redeeming himself after a down year after a good year the year before with the Tigers. So, looking at these two teams, who will be more consistent moving forward? And
yeah, they both had the big win this week. Mizzou at
hmm
Florida, and then Vanderbilt home against Tennessee. I'll lean Mizzou here. Big win on the road. Vanderbilt does have a road win at LSU, but obviously Florida and LSU are not too comparable, I would say, other than the fact
no,
they're
not
SEC
at all.
teams. But
That's yeah.
yeah, I like the balance of Mizzou. Vandy has good balance as well. Mizzou's probably deeper. They can hurt you in a lot of ways. And somebody's going to show up every night. Like Caleb Grill went for 22 points, six threes. They beat Florida. So,
I would go with Mizzou as well in this situation. Dennis Gates, I think we all knew he was a good coach, but last year was a pretty horrible year. He's getting right back this year. Again, that huge win over Florida on the road, followed it up though with a beating of Arkansas at home, but still it was kind of low, 18 points. They also did win a head-to-head versus Vanderbilt. Again, head-to-head doesn't matter. It was at home. Um, I don't know if they play at Vanderbilt. They're probably gonna lose that game, maybe. But yeah, Dennis Gates has really done a good job with his roster. Got the pieces all fit together this year. Got transfers like Mark Mitchell, Tony Perkins, but the returning guys have honestly been really improved from last year. Tamar Bates he was pretty solid last year, but like Anthony Robinson, Trent Pierce have been huge. Caleb Grill when he's been healthy, has been big as well. So yeah,
yeah,
Mizzou is
Robinson's
fully
been really
back.
impressive to me.
Yes, he has had a big freshman to sophomore leap, and Trent Pierce is also. I mean, he's kind of been flying under the radar, kind of guy like going into his freshman year was pretty bad last year, but again, it's after a year in college, he's starting to get back to what he could be, and yeah. I still like Vanderbilt though. I still like both teams. I think Mizzou is a little bit better though. Both teams should be tournament bound. We'll see what Vanderbilt does, but I feel very confidently about Mizzou being in the tournament at least. Vanderbilt
Yeah.
more than likely,
Missouri,
yeah, but it could be close.
yeah, Missouri's probably a step ahead, and Vanderbilt, yeah, probably have to scrape a couple wins in spots they shouldn't to feel good.
Yes. Don't have as much margin of error. Um, Especially after not playing a very good non-con. But Tennessee win was huge. Um, and yeah, Byington's great. Jason Edwards is fun. Devin McLaughlin, huge transfer from Boston College. Really been productive all over the court. Um, and yeah, moving to a different conference, the Big East. Got a matchup this week that is particularly intriguing. Xavier versus St. John's. Both teams have been rattling off some wins lately. Xavier just won at Marquette. St. John's has been winning. I mean, they've won a handful of games in a row. These teams did meet earlier. St. John's won at Xavier, but What do we think of this upcoming matchup between the two?
Yeah. I think obviously you've got to give St. John's probably a sizable, like 7 to 9 point spread just being at home. They already beat Xavier, but both teams are really hot. Xavier just changed the season, I would say, on Saturday. Got the win
Hmm.
at Marquette, and now maybe not an inside path to the tournament, but definitely a path to get there now.
Yes.
Davion McKnight's been really fun. And yeah, I think just the matchup here, St. John's, Xavier both like to get in transition. Should be a very fun game. RJ Lewis has been amazing this season. With all this talk of Kadari Richmond coming in, Lewis has been the guy.
Hmm.
So I think this is a pretty big one for St. John's. You've got a hot Xavier team coming in. You got to take care of business. And then just kind of a sneak peek, St. John's, Marquette, each, I believe, have one loss in conference play, and they'll play each other February 4th and then March 8th, the final day of the regular season. And those are probably the title deciding games.
Yes. Yes. I pretty much agree with your point. I mean, can't really bet against St. John's here. They already won the game on the road at Xavier. They're playing good right now. But like I don't think we should overlook Xavier. Maybe like we're still like too on the Xavier hype train that we were on preseason, but like I'm still like buying into this team to an extent. They can beat you in so many different ways. They won against Villanova with a huge Ryan Conwell game. He can fill it up on the stat sheet. And he did hardly anything against Marquette on the road, and they still won that game. Xavier just it hasn't completely clicked yet. They have so many ways they can beat you. Very old team. I would consider them to be pretty well coached. I mean, yeah, Sean Miller is still a good coach, even though, I mean,
Yeah,
th-
their five most important games are right here in front of them. At St. John's, host UConn. At Creighton, host Georgetown. At Villanova.
yes.
Then it kind of eases up. But yeah, this is the stretch where we see if this team can really sneak into the tournament or not.
Yeah, I mean, they got so many guys that can beat you. Fremantle thought he might be out for the season. He's been back playing. He's very productive. Ryan Conwell obviously had that bad game at Marquette, still won, but he can really shoot, can really score. Davion McKnight, really good point guard. Dalen Swain, kind of a Swiss Army knife, really good defensively. Um, the best NBA prospect on this team. Got some other wings, Demarcus Foster, Jerome Hunter, kind of a four. Dante Maddox had a huge game in the loss at UConn like a month ago at this point. But yeah, they just have so many guys that can beat you. The second most experienced team in the country, according to Ken Palm. A lot of old guys, a lot of good guys, and good coach. They're starting to kind of click, starting to fall into place. We'll see how much it really carries over, but like I Xavier's not a team to like completely overlook.
Yeah, Swain might be that key. He had 12 and 9 against Marquette. And
Yes.
I think he's just kind of what, yeah, fits it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Athletic wing.
Yes, could definitely see him making lots of money in the NBA in his career. But yes, still probably going to give the edge to St. John's. Can't really pick against him, but yeah, Xavier would not totally surprise me to see them get a win in that game. Um, Moving elsewhere in the Big East to UConn, they have lost 2 out of 3 games. We'll say they have not had Lee McNeely for the past few games, which they should have back soon. But what are our thoughts on this? Like, this is a two-time defending national champs. Yes, they had a very poor performance in Maui, but I mean, they've kind of looked more competent since then. Like they beat like Gonzaga, who has fallen off sort of in their own right, but like I think Maui was worse than they actually are, obviously. So like what do
Yeah.
we
I'm still
what's
I'm
what's the
still
deal?
skeptical on the defense. There's
Yes.
128th in Kempom, and you can see it just in watching the games. Um, Especially at the point guard spot. Just not yeah, I don't know. I won't bet
I
against
mean
them when it
like
comes to March,
DR
but
is a good defense. DR is fine, but like Solo Ball is not a good. He's not good at all defensively.
Aiden
Mahaney's not
Mahaney.
good. Like the yeah, like Jalen Stewart. Like I mean, their big men are good. They fouled too much, but like, and maybe that's part of the problem. But like, their big men are very elite protecting the rim when they don't foul. Um, the issue is with like the guards, and
Yeah,
it's a big issue.
I think they're safely well behind St. John's and Marquette at this point. And I would, depending how they look when McNeely comes back, third in the Big East feels like a ceiling to me. And depending on Villanova, Xavier, who both have shown that they're capable of winning big games. Xavier the win at Marquette, Nova just beat UConn.
I mean,
Those are
Creighton
two
Creighton's up
teams
there
that,
too. I mean, Creighton just won
yeah,
at,
Creighton as well,
and
actually.
I mean, yes. But yeah, looking at UConn, and yes, are they better with McNeely? Yeah, but like, was their defense better with him? Like, their defense, like, he's not like he's like saving their defense. Their defense wasn't really better with him. They're slightly better all around the court with him, but like, this is a team that's not going to go far in March. I mean, they won two national championships in a row. They have the coach that won two national championships in a row, but like, outliers like this, I guess Alabama made the Final Four last year, but like, typically they don't go far in March. Like, and I don't see this team going far in March. Maybe I shouldn't bet against UConn, and they still like have a decent team, but yeah, the
I mean,
defense is not gonna be sustainable in a single elimination setting.
yeah, I think my Dan Hurley respect would probably get them to the Sweet 16, but
Yeah.
like you said, there's not enough consistency there, especially defensively, and you need balance on both sides of the ball if you're going to survive in advance.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, top 10 defense past 2 years. Not a top 100 defense so far this year. So there's a clear discrepancy there. Offense is still elite, but again, you need consistency both sides of the ball. Outliers like that do not do well in March. Moving to the ACC, which is, I guess, a high major conference that can be debated.
At least one of their teams, yeah.
Duke is very good, but we're gonna talk about kind of the pack behind the Blue Devils. Some teams that have been rattling off some ACC wins. Louisville, even with a hurt team, they've still been playing some good basketball lately. Clemson as well. Both of those teams 7-1 in conference play. And Wake Forest, kind of questionable starts this season, but they have the talent. Steve Forbes is kind of an intriguing coach, depending on your opinion, but like he still can coach in basketball. They have some star power, and they're 6-1 in the conference. Again, competition not really there, but like they're starting to click a little bit more, perhaps, due to Tyler Johnson being the full-time point guard. As I said, well, whatever. I hyped him up early season. Forbes didn't play him, and they started sucking because they played Salas and like Hilder to the point guard, neither of whom can actually be good at point guard, which is not their position at all, and that kind of made the offense bad. But now they're kind of playing better because of what should have happened. Anyway, let's rank these three teams: Clemson, Louisville, Wake Forest in the conference. You
Yeah,
can go
I'll just
first.
say one note if there's any North Carolina fans watching. I took the angle of the three one-loss teams. North Carolina doesn't quite have
North
that
Carolina's
same
in some trouble.
uptrend. Yeah,
Like they're a
we
good
could talk
team.
about them if we wanted to. Yeah.
Let's okay. I'm just gonna like North Carolina is like one of the whatever best teams that make the tournament. Like however many teams make tournament, like they're if it was I mean what like 50-ish best teams
Yeah.
make it. They're one of those 50-ish best teams, but they don't have good wins. Um, they're yeah, their one good win is versus UCLA, which is neutral, still a good win even with UCLA's fall off. Dayton is no longer a good win ish. We'll get to that in a minute. But like they lost to Stanford. Now they have a bad loss. They didn't have any bad things on their resume before then. They need to do some they're in trouble. They're in trouble. But point
Yeah.
aside, let's gonna hand it off to you to rank those.
Yeah.
Louisville, Clemson, Wake.
North Carolina at Wake Forest Tuesday night. That should be a very telling game for both those teams.
Yes.
But um, I put Wake third last of these three. They don't really have the computer numbers. They've taken care of business. No bad losses on the year. They have a win against Michigan that's aging tremendously for them. But still, I think they're a level behind Clemson and Louisville. I'll go Clemson ahead of Louisville just due to the fact they have their entirely healthy roster. Louisville has looked like they haven't needed it recently. Um, I just like the length this team has. They kind of play three bigs almost at times: Shefflin, Wiggins, and Lockin, and then Chase Hunter and Jaden Zachary. I think that backcourt's pretty underrated. They
Hmm.
just show up, they win games. They played really well late against Pitt, and I guess that's something both these teams have. Clemson and Louisville road wins at Pitt. We'll talk about in a second here as well. I like Chucky Hepburn. He showed up in the big games for Louisville, but his performances have been rather inconsistent. He hasn't needed to play good against these bad teams, but he hasn't really showed up, and that's kind of the Chucky that Wisconsin fans knew.
I will say he's gotten like 7 assists like every game in ACC play and got like 8 last game. So
But the playmaking is there.
yes, that's actually kind of crazy. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, he had 7 assists. 6 straight games, he had 7 assists exactly. Had 8 in the most recent game against Virginia, and also had 8 the game before that. Anyway, yeah, I think I would put the Cardinals first out of those 3 teams. Um, even with their injured roster, they've been playing. They've been really playing some good basketball lately, and they've been getting some of the ACC's best wins they had to offer at Pitt. Beat Clemson at home, beat North Carolina at home, won at Florida State. Um, and yeah, Terrence Edwards has been a little inconsistent this season, but he's really been playing, I would say, more consistent the past few games at least. Javon Hadley's been really good as of lately and really good kind of glue piece. Had a really big game, one of the games recently, I know. Rain Smith can shoot. James Scott has been really, really big recently. He obviously with the prior lost to Keshawn Pryor. He's really had to step up. Really, really has done his job well. Abubakar Traore, been playing recently. That's going to be big over the course of the season. And yeah, very, very well playing team right now, even with the injuries. I would have Clemson not too far after them for the same reason you said. Very, very solid roster. Again, 7-1 in conference. And then Wake Forest, pretty clearly in third. Their conference record of 6-1. I still don't think they really have a good win in conference play. But I think it's a team that's still going to see their metrics climb up. Like, this is still a good basketball team. Think they're better than 77th in the country. And yeah, once they start playing some good games, they have North Carolina and Duke at home this week, at Louisville, Pitt at home. Those 4 games will be very telling, regardless of if they win or lose, just how they play in those games. And some wins would be nice for the tournament. At Stanford after that too, which that's quite the far trip. And Stanford just won at North Carolina, so yes. Louisville, Clemson, Wake Forest is my order. I think Louisville and Clemson are destined for the tournament. Wake Forest, they're not out of it. So,
Yeah, definitely will need a couple more wins to kind of get those computer numbers up. But
yes. Moving elsewhere in the ACC, though, to Pitt. Pitt's not in that conversation because they've dropped 4 straight games. What are our thoughts on this?
yeah, I mean, you start the losing streak at Duke. Okay, whatever. You're at Duke, but it was a pretty ugly loss. They didn't score for like the final 8 minutes, and
Yeah.
then home losses to Louisville and Clemson, and those
Like,
are the teams they're directly competing with.
those
You need
aren't
to at
bad
least split
losses.
those.
Those aren't bad losses, but like, you got to win those home games.
Yep. And then the road loss at Florida State is really what
Again,
shook me. I know
same
Florida.
situation. Like, yeah, like you can lose that. Like Florida State, that's a Q1 loss, but like that's a game. Those are the games you really have to win. Like, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
You really you can't lose all three of those. Duke, you're gonna lose whatever. You can't lose at home versus Louisville and Clemson on the road at Florida State. None of those losses are bad per se, but when you combine three of them all together, that's a bad look.
Yeah, and you've still got games at Louisville, at North Carolina, at SMU, at Wake Forest, host UNC. Like there's plenty more, not necessarily landmines. None of those are awful losses, but just games you're gonna drop. And you're already only 12-6 overall. You're in an ACC that is not good. It might be time to worry. I don't know. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
defensive struggles, lack of effort. That's really what the Florida State game looked like. You just I don't know. I watched back some of the clips one of the pit pages had that I follow on Twitter and just like rebounding. Florida State would get their own rebound on a missed free throw and things like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody's really been on the same page yet in ACC play for Pitt.
Yes. I think this is also kind of a case of a team like kind of regressing to the mean. Like maybe, I mean, I still think they definitely exceeded my expectations a little bit, but they probably were never as good as that like top like 15 team that they were at one point this season. So we'll see what happens coming up, but yeah, they're kind of on thin ice now. They need to win some games at this point.
Yeah, 3-4 in the ACC is not a good look.
No, it is not. And yeah, like you mentioned, North Carolina home coming up at Wake Forest, in a little while as well. Still got yeah, North Carolina both at home and on the road. Still play at Louisville at SMU, even at Notre Dame, not a given. So at NC State, not a complete given either. So they're not safe, but they well we'll see. And yeah, they just haven't been playing good on either end of the basketball. They just have been a little bit worse. Like there's nothing they've just like been not doing. I think they've just like haven't been playing that good. Like yeah, it's all around been a little worse. Another team that has fallen off in conference play, a little bit more surprising probably is Dayton, who's well, what do we make of Dayton? They've been dropping games left and right in A10 play. They just won a game, but it was an overtime against a very banged up Loyola Chicago team at home. 2-3 in conference play. Their other win against is against LaSalle. Lost to George Washington, lost to UMass, lost to George Mason at home. What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, this is not the team we saw early season. Decent win against Northwestern. Then they went to Maui and kind of became everybody's darling, I guess. Two close losses, UNC and Iowa State. Blew UConn out of the water in the seventh place game. Beat Marquette at home. I forgot about that one, mid-December.
Yeah,
And then since then, it just nothing's really been the same. Lost to Cincinnati on a neutral court.
which like
And then
whatever, but like
A10 play has really it's fallen. Nate Santos has really been the only guy consistently producing offensively. And I don't know. This is what can't happen in the A10 if you're Dayton. I don't know if there's a path to an at-large bid anymore.
I mean I think
Can,
there's still is, but like they have to be like nearly perfect at this point. And
yeah.
like a few weeks ago they were like, yeah, like they're gonna be like a 6 seed, 5 seed. Now they're like they're in some
No, it's
they're in
like
some
at
deep
St.
trouble.
Bonaventure and at Rhode Island are must wins, and those are anything but
Hmm.
give me's.
I mean, they still play VCU twice as well. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. We will see, but I don't know. It's not looking great for the Flyers. I don't know. They're just not playing very good basketball recently. Another team that like probably like was due for some regression, but this is I was not expecting like their little regression to be losing to George Washington and UMass. So
Yeah, the George Washington one really hurt, and it
it
really
was a
kind of
blowout too. Like that
yeah.
was Chris Caputo must want that Miami job.
I
which I
mean,
I don't think he's gonna get it or should, but
what's George Washington in conference now? Or I guess they dropped these last two. All right, never mind. I don't know if that's the right hire.
I mean, I doubt they'll do it at this point, but he it's not a bad thing to do if you want to get a job, beat Dayton by 20. Anyway, yeah, moving to another mid-major conference out west, the Mountain West. Who do we like more, New Mexico or Utah State? Kind of been a very fun conference this year, but between those two teams, both with only one loss in conference play, New Mexico 7-1, Utah State 6-1, and their one loss has both been like kind of weird. Like New Mexico lost at San Jose State, which is not a great team. Utah State lost at UNLV, which has rattled off some decent wins lately, but of those two teams in top, who do you like better, trust more? Maybe different answer for both of those questions,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, first off, sorry, San Diego State fans. You've lost three of the first seven in Mountain West play. Gonna highlight the two one-loss teams for now,
San
but
Diego State's still good though. Like
yeah,
they're still good.
yeah, you can't doubt that. I went Utah State over New Mexico, proven ability to win on the road. They rattled off those three in a row to end 2024. St. Mary's, at San Diego State, at Nevada. Mason Falslev, Ian Martinez. I really like that backcourt, and everything else kind of falls into place. Jared Calhoun, once again, Utah State makes an out of the park hire, and
They need
yeah,
to
I don't know that
they need to
there
hire
might be
someone a
too
little bit
much.
worse. Like they need
Yeah,
to hire
so
like
he'll
Todd
stick around.
Kowalczyk. But
I mean, he was rumored there last offseason.
yeah,
So,
that's who they need to hire. Like he's old. Like he's not like he's good, but like he's probably not gonna dip immediately. So that's who I need to hire
but
when Calhoun leaves for like somewhere this offseason. Anyway, yeah, go
yeah,
back to
I
what
th-
you were
I just
saying.
think there might be too much pressure on Donovan Dent at New Mexico. Obviously, one of the premier guards in the country, and then a Minnesota fan. I find it hard to trust Richard Pitino when it's all said and done. The road loss to San Jose State kind of proves my point there. I guess UNLV is a much better loss than San Jose State. I'll say that as of right now. So.
I mean, yeah. Um, yeah, I would go with New Mexico though. Again, maybe I trust Utah State more to not like do as stupid things. Richard Pitino's always liable to drop some game like did at San Jose State, which I will say, San Jose State is like an extremely trap game. Like it's the biggest trap game you can have because they're very well coached. Tim Miles is a good coach. Very, I respect Tim Miles a lot. But they have like good enough players. Like Josh Uduce is solid. Like he was the sixth man of the year in the conference last year. Will McClendon, he was like a former top 50 high major guy. Like they have some decent players like Robert Vajola, J.J. Hall are good. But like the team isn't that good, but like on the road especially, like that's a loss you don't want to have, but like a loss you can easily have for all of those factors. So that was an extreme trap game. Lost in the last second shot by Latrell Davis. But New Mexico, they've really been playing well lately. Beat Boise State handily, beat San Diego State handily. Um, already have wins as well over Nevada, over at Colorado State, and right before conference play, beat VCU at home. Donovan Dent, one of the best point guards in the country. Maybe, as you said, there is a lot of pressure on them, but I think the surrounding talent is also pretty good. Nelly Jr. Joseph, very good, experienced big man. Mustafa Amzil, very solid wing forward. As well, can go off any given night. Like CJ Nolan, True Washington, solid wings, guards. Cade Dodson, I mean he's not doing anything crazy this year, but like he's gonna be really good in a few years. Just wanna throw that one out there. And yeah,
Yeah, Amzil's been impressive this year after not really being what people thought he would be last season. He's stepped up.
yes. But maybe I trust Utah State more. Maybe I like New Mexico more. I don't know, but
I think I can see that. New Mexico maybe has a higher ceiling when everything clicks. I mean, you saw the blowout of Boise State the other night.
yes, they still played twice this year. I'm gonna roll with the Lobos right now, but this is gonna be it's a tight race between the two, and not to even mention any of the other teams in the conference. Not quite a conference it was last year, but still some very, very solid mid-major West Coast play. Staying on the West Coast in the mid-major realm, to the WCC. Gonzaga, Gonzaga is
Is
struggling
Gonzaga a mid-major again?
for now. Well, yeah, they've always been a mid-major, but like they're not a mid-major at the same time.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
like this team struggles very. I don't know. At first, it was all these close games they were losing, and you're sitting there with Ryan Nemhard, and you're like, okay, he's gonna figure things out. He's one of the best point guards in the country. They're gonna start winning these games, and then they lose in overtime to Oregon State, and then Saturday they got blitzed by Santa Clara. It'll say it's a 4 point loss, but they trailed by 10 to 15 for a lot of that second half, and there's just there's no defensive presence inside. You've got Graham Ike, Ben Gregg, um, blanking on the third big.
Braden
Braden,
Huff.
Braden Huff, yeah. And yeah, I don't know. The offense is fun, but they just can't get stops. They gave up 103 to Santa Clara, who
Yeah.
Santa Clara in itself is a fun team, but I don't know. I trust Mark Few to get them back to the Sweet 16 for what is it, the
Hmm.
10th year running.
Something like
But
that. It's a crazy streak.
I had title aspirations, and I think they're all but gone as we
Hmm.
sit here on January 20th.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it. Their offense is still very good. There's nothing wrong with their offense at all. Graham Ike is a proven go-to option to post. Ryan Nemhard, maybe one of the best passing point guard in the country. Can also score a little for his own right. Cleve Battle's been a pretty solid scorer. Braden Hubb has been really good off the bench. Go-to guy down low as well. Um, Nolan Hickman's been good. Michael Dry has been like kind of disappointing guy out of the group offensively, but like the issue is fully the defense, giving up 103 to Santa Clara, 97 to Oregon State in overtime. Now Gonzaga does play fast, so his numbers are probably slightly skewed due to the tempo, but like they play bad defense in both those games. However you want to look at it, and yeah, like I don't know. That was my concerns on this team. I really liked him preseason. Had him at one. Yeah, that's not looking too great now, but like the defense is a real concern. I don't know what they need to do. I don't know.
That's yeah,
If
I
like
feel like it's
Emmanuel
more of a
Innocentia was like
personnel.
good
Yeah.
offensively, you could like just like throw him in and do stuff, but like he's not like good enough, even though he's like their best defensive player. So he doesn't play. I don't know.
And I thought Ajayi's athleticism would help them too, but he just I don't know, the confidence isn't there offensively right now, I feel like, and yeah, he just hasn't been what many people thought he would be.
Which like that's kind of weird because I think he's still very good. He was good to combine. Like that's what kind of sticks out to me. He can come back next year though because of JUCO thing. Who knows where he'll go? I think he'll actually be good at Gonzaga if he goes back. That's one of my takes. Like the second year transfer that like randomly blows up, but he also might want to leave and fresh start somewhere. I don't know. That'll be interesting to monitor. But yeah, I don't know how his team is going to play better defense, but they need to. Maybe Santa Clara had just a crazy shooting game. Numbers might indicate that, but like regardless, like
I
it's
yeah, I think a large part of that is at fault of Gonzaga.
yes. Um, I would agree with that. And then yeah, I just want to talk about WC as a whole. This is a fun conference, temporary conference, with Oregon State and Washington State only being in it for a few years. Gonzaga's gone after a few years as well. Um, to the new Pac, whatever it is, Pac 10, Pac 12. I don't know how many teams are in the conference. Something like that though.
At
Um,
least 8 for them to get it out and running, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun conference though. Um, St.
Yeah.
Mary's, they're always St. Mary's gonna win the conference. By the way, like, do
Three
we have
week 3 weeks ago, I'm pretty sure we like nailed on Gonzaga as our pick. And
do we
now
have
I
any? We don't have any disagreements with St. Mary's winning the conference, do we?
no,
They're
I
just so
the
sound.
conference race might be over right now. I wrote this point on the West Coast, and half of what I wrote in my notes was about St. Mary's just because of how impressed I am with this team.
Yeah. I mean, they're already 2 games up. Everyone else has lost at least 2 games in conference. St. Mary's, I will say, they have not played a single like good team in conference yet, but they haven't screwed up at least. And they're just so sound. Like they're not gonna be stupid. Like Gonzaga has been stupid. St. Mary's, if they lose, they're gonna lose a close game. All their losses have been close this year. Good on both sides of the ball. I mean, playing very slow does help the margin. Be small, but yes. But
Yeah.
around the
And I mean,
conference,
a note
yeah,
on the schedule, they have home against Portland and then away against Loyola Marymount. But every other game is a Ken Palm top 100 team, which you never used to be able to say that in the West Coast Conference. So
yes.
there's spots for them to drop it, but I don't know. Marshallonis has been fantastic. Paulus
Paulius Morauskas
Morauskas
has been fantastic. Mikey
right now
Lewis, the
he's
freshman, they've been getting some good contributions out of the newcomers,
yeah,
which,
Morauskas is fourth at Ken Palm for West Coast Conference Player of the Year.
yes, he is. Yes, and yeah, Mikey Lewis, fantastic freshman. Randy Bennett, not a guy that really is a huge like newcomer fan, but they have been working now this year. And yeah, San Francisco's good. Santa Clara, we mentioned HB Gonzaga, they're good. Washington State's pretty solid. Cedric Howard's been out for the year, so that kind of hurts. I think they would be a lot more competitive, or they're competitive. They would be a lot better with him. Which I saw him like really high in a mock draft the other day. I don't know if he'll come back next year. But yes, he's very good. But I think like Isaiah Watts has been hurt too. Yeah, we'll see though. Still a solid team themselves. Oregon State really outperforming expectations.
Yeah,
Then the bottom,
Ratai went for 29 against
yes, Ratai has
Gonzaga
been
the other night.
good. Even Loyola Marymount, definitely not in the top tier, definitely not one of the top teams, but they have enough talent that you can't really totally sleep on them, or you might get burnt. They still have Javon Porter. They still have um, yeah, I mean Javon Porter
Yeah,
is good.
they've
They have
already picked off Santa Clara at home and then they blew out Oregon State.
yeah, um, yes, they did do that, didn't they? So yeah, um,
And then I guess just one note, like these teams coming in have been good, Washington State, Oregon State, but San Francisco and Santa Clara both have things like figured out now.
mm,
Santa Clara, obviously the big win over Gonzaga. Carlos Stewart is like actually competent again. And then
yes.
San Francisco, Malik Thomas, they've
Malik
been fun.
Thomas, he's one of the top scorers in the country. He can flat out score the ball.
There's just so many good games left on this West Coast Conference schedule. Whereas like last year, we just hoped and prayed for Gonzaga to visit one of those schools or the 2 games against St. Mary's. Like there's about 5 games worthy of watching.
Yes. And on that San Francisco note, Junji Wong is finally like playing and being good. And I was huge on him coming into San Francisco last year. Glad it's finally paying off. Tyrone Riley has been fantastic as well as a freshman. But yeah, WCC is a very fun conference. And um yeah. Do we want to talk about anything else before we get to our game predictions? I feel like Hmm. I don't know. Do
I
we
was
want to talk
pretty
about like
like
Doug Gottlieb or anything? Like he sucks. They've lost 15 straight games in a row. They're
I can
bad.
sure pull up the horizon. Yeah, that's
Um.
I don't know. I was
Yeah.
pretty like top 10 conference centric on this pod, but I figured I'd cover all the big storylines. Doug Gottlieb does make himself a big storyline though,
Yeah. They've
without
lost
fail.
15 straight games. They find ways to blow games, and they just find ways to lose. They were up 10 points with 9 minutes to go against Youngstown State. They lost the game. against Robert Morris the other day at home. They were doing good until they did not score a point in the first 10 minutes of the second half, outscored 28-0 in that time span. Not a good thing to do if you want to win games. Yeah, they were up at halftime, lost by over 20. Um, yeah, they have not won since November 19th, before Thanksgiving, actually like a week and a half before Thanksgiving. It's been tough. He should not come back next year. Um, yeah, that's
I
its
mean,
own
just
thing.
going through like nation's longest win streaks. You stick in the horizon, 10 straight from Cleveland State, with Denell Robinson. They look, I mean, pretty good. 8-1 in conference play ahead of like Purdue, Fort Wayne, and Milwaukee, who
They've
I
been they've
think
been
I thought
winning
would
some
be
games.
two of the top teams in that league. And then
Yes.
Utah Valley has looked really good in the WAC. Already beat Grand Canyon, 5-0 in conference.
Yes. One in overtime at UT Arlington. That's a big win. Um, yes, they have been playing some very good basketball recently. Second year, I believe, of Todd Phillips' tenure there. Don't talk about Omaha. Get the little Mavericks action going. They've been playing some really good basketball lately. Um, they swept the North Dakotas on the road. They beat South Dakota State at home. They beat Kansas City at home. Both comfortably-ish. I mean, they killed Denver on the road. Denver's not good. They play St. Thomas at home on Thursday. It's probably on. I think it's on Summit League Network, which is bad. I will
I
not be watching it
I
because it's
hope
on
that
Summit
gets a
League
boost
Network.
to CBS Sports Network. I don't know. I can try to see what they have it listed
Summit League
at.
Network needs to be like wiped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, that and Flow Sports.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yes. Like I'm not gonna pay to watch Summit League basketball, but I like want to watch like these occasional games, which yes.
trying to find it. It was on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Last time
it's
I
it's seven
saw.
o'clock. It's gonna be Summit League Network.
Yeah. Or
Sad.
yep. I Nah, I'm not gonna go to that game. It's not like unreasonable, but I also don't really want to drive down and back home.
Yeah, the Summit League is so fun. Like, there's no defense played, but
Yeah, kind of like the ASUN. They just shoot. They make shots. No defense. Um,
North Dakota's top 30 offense, St. Thomas top 60,
yes,
South Dakota State right on the border, top 100. Like, I don't know. There's the defenses are bad, but the offenses are also like actually good. We saw what North Dakota
yes.
State did to.
Some fun teams. North Dakota State's a crazy good shooting team as well. I don't think they're yeah. They were number one the other day in 3-point percentage and 3-pointers attempted per field goals attempted. Now they're second in 3-point percentage, but they're still first in the volume of threes taken. They got some dudes. Jackson Money's very, very good. Jakari White's also a nice guy that can come back next year. JUCO guy affected there. They just got shooters and they got makers, which is important. You can't just shoot and not make it. Some guys like to do that. Like I don't know. I can't think of a guy off the top of my head, but there
I
are
don't know.
some like
Caleb
shooters you
Love
can't
popped
shoot.
in my mind.
Um, yeah, that's not really the vibe I was going for.
Just pure shooters.
I just like guys who are like labeled as shooters, but like just like don't make shots.
Malcolm Christie in the Diamond Head Classic.
He yeah, he made yeah. Kind of like a guy for North Dakota State, Luke Subke. He's like never been a good shooter in college, but like is like supposed to be a shooter. But he's been shooting it at a solid percentage this year though, so he gets a pass. Did make 7 of 8 for Samford, so that kind of boosted his percentage. But like yeah, their guys are makers. Yeah. Let's see.
Shall we make some picks for this week, or you got anything else?
We shall. Do we want to talk about the Big West? I know you put an article out there the other.
Ooh, yeah, we can touch on it.
UC San Diego lost the other day. That was a little bit surprising. Barrington Argus went crazy though. So um, 40 point game, knocked off the
There, yeah,
Tradens at
there's
home.
7 very fun teams in this league,
Yes.
or I guess 6 very fun teams, and Cal UC Davis is good, maybe not fun.
T.Y. Johnson's fun.
Bottom 30 offense, elite
T.Y. Jo-
defense.
yeah, that's
Like,
because they don't. Yeah, the T.Y. Johnson's just like not as efficient. So like, and he takes like every shot. So he just kind of makes offense a little worse. But he's still fun to watch because like he shoots like so many times. Um, yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
a
don't know.
fun league, but
UC Irvine is like a legitimate team, I feel like.
they're all the way legit. Um,
Ben Leuchten, 7-1 big guy. He can honestly space the floor decently well. Hit a big three in that game against UC San Diego. And then I don't know, you've got Justin Hone, Devin Tillis, Miles Che, like just a really solid cast of 4 right there.
yes. Is Henry coming back this year at all? Do we know that? He hasn't played in a while, but
Can't confirm.
don't let me do a quick Google search because he I think he was a defensive player in the league last year. Not that it really matters if he comes back. I feel like they figured it out. I don't see anything on first glance.
Cal Poly has a chance to win their first Big West game in like 2 years this week. Another talking point in the league.
They'll win one eventually. Yeah, they've been losing a lot,
Host Long
but
Beach State on Saturday.
yes, I think Cal Poly will win that game. Against Devin Askew and the Beach, who Devin Askew's kind of been good this year, but whatever. He's we left him in like 2019. Yeah. Do we want to go move to the game predictions now?
Yeah, let's get those out of the way. Get up on out of here.
Sure. So, moving to the SEC, going to the SEC, whatever for the first game of our predictions, which is tomorrow, Tuesday. If you're watching this a different day, um, Mississippi State at Tennessee. Who do we like in this one?
I'll go Tennessee, bounce back
Yeah.
at home. I like the spot. Mississippi State coming off a big win, and I
Yeah.
Tennessee should be heavy favorites. So
They'll win at home, I think. I would go with that as well. Louisville at SMU. Will the home team prevail as well on Tuesday?
I think what is it, the Moody Center?
Yeah, I
I hope
think that
that's
sounds right.
right.
That sounds right. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Probably.
I think they come away with a big win. Got blown out the last big game they hosted against Duke, but I think that place should be rocking. And yeah, two very fun teams in the ACC can say a lot about both of them. Um, just tournament aspiration wise.
It's the Moody Coliseum to be
Moody Coliseum.
exact.
Okay, there we
But
go.
I'm gonna go with Louisville. They've had some big road wins recently. I guess the big road win at Pitt, but they've been taking care of business regardless on the road. SMU has not been great against good teams. I'm gonna go with the road team here. Louisville will win at SMU. Moving back to the SEC on Wednesday, Texas A&M travels to Ole Miss. Will Ole Miss continue? I guess Ole Miss lost their last game, but will they continue to still play to a top end level, or will Texas A&M, who's also been pretty solid recently, will they get the road upset ish? I guess you call it an upset.
I guess with Wade Taylor still a question mark. I feel like he's been like game time decision for like every
Yeah, he
game.
played last game, so.
Did he play against LSU?
He did. Nothing spectacular, but he
Oh
also
yeah, I do see
has
that.
his
Okay,
fair share of
okay, yeah, 24 minutes.
non-spectacular performances anyway.
I'll still go Ole Miss. That should be a very fun game, I guess. Depends what you're looking for, but like physicality, defense, like definitely a
that will be the game for
high
that.
priority in that game. So definitely an interesting basketball game to watch. I'll lean Ole Miss at home though.
Yes, I will go with Ole Miss as well. I think kind of the home team wins wherever that game is played, and it is at Ole Miss. Going with Ole Miss. Friday, Michigan travels to Purdue. Who wins that one?
I thought about Michigan here. I kind of like the spot. Purdue hasn't lost in a while. Maybe it's time. But I don't know. Braden Smith has played at such a high level. Trey Donaldson will be a good matchup for him, but I still think I don't know that the guard talent I give to Purdue, and I think they have big enough bodies inside to battle with Danny Wolf, Vlad Golden. So I'll lean Purdue at home.
Yes, I will also go with Purdue here. Should be a very good game, but not going to bet against Purdue at Mackey. Not going to bet against Braden Smith. Yeah, still going to be a very good game though. Don't want to bet too much against Michigan. Um, in their own respect. Kentucky at Vanderbilt on Saturday. Very good Saturday of hoops, as most Saturdays are at this point. Kentucky at
Yes,
Vanderbilt. Who do we want here? Or who do we
six of the 10 games that we picked to preview here this week come on Saturday. I went with Kentucky over Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt did just get the big home win over Tennessee. I don't think they pull that magic twice in a row. I feel like Kentucky traditionally struggles at Vanderbilt. Maybe not loses, but I feel like I remember seeing some close games in the past. But I'll go with Kentucky. Just dropped one at home to Alabama. I think they start to get back on track.
All right, give me the Commodores here to get another big home win. Kentucky's defense a little suspect. Think some guys like Jason Edwards can potentially take advantage of that, even though Kentucky does have some good defenders like Lamont Butler. Um, I will be going with the Commodores here. They're going to get another big home win. They're in a Memorial Coliseum, I believe, is super weird. But it might come to their
Yeah,
advantage,
having the benches on the baseline is
and like the
wild.
seats are like it's so bad, but it's also like kind of like interesting. Um, yes,
Just
give me the Commodores.
one more note from me, Kentucky fans. I'm sorry. Kentucky's handled Vanderbilt the last few seasons, but there was a stretch like 2021, 2022 where the games got interesting at Vanderbilt. So those are the memories I had. I wasn't totally losing my mind.
Yes. Moving within the conference still, Georgia at Florida on Saturday. I'll go with this one. Florida wins the Mike White battle. Yeah, I don't see Georgia. I don't see Florida dropping like another game like this at home after they did to Mizzou. If this was on the road, maybe this would be a different game. But yeah, I think Florida will take care of business at home.
Yeah, Georgia had their fun week 2 weeks ago. The wins over Kentucky and Oklahoma both came at home though. Mike White homecoming to Florida, kind of a fun storyline, but I still think you have to give the Gators a pretty sizable advantage in this one.
Yes. Moving to the ACC, Duke and Wake Forest on Saturday. Wake Forest has been playing some better basketball recently, as we mentioned earlier on, but they will not stand a chance against Duke. I
Yeah,
feel
I
yeah, Duke is too good.
you try to find a game for Duke to drop in the ACC, and it's hard to find one. At Clemson, at UNC, still coming. This is probably their third
At
best
least they
shot.
play Illinois. Like it's not a conference game, but like it'll be fun for him to
Yeah,
play some competition.
yeah, that should be a good one. They kind of get like a week break in ACC play, so filling it with Illinois, I believe it's at the Garden too.
I believe
So,
that sounds right. Yep.
but yeah, I'll stick with Duke. No reason to bet against them.
I got the Illinois game sandwiched. Then sandwiching the Illinois game is Virginia and Miami. Oof. Um, yeah. Anyway, enough about Duke and Illinois. Duke is going to take care of business at Wake. They're just too good. Interested to see how Wake plays though. While I don't think they'll win, their performance will be very telling if they get blown out or if they stay competitive to a degree. Staying within the SEC again, Ole Miss makes another appearance on these game predictions at Mizzou. Give me the home team here. Give me Mizzou. They've been having some they've had some huge wins at home. and on the road, I guess, at Florida. But yeah, they beat Kansas at home this year. Give me
This,
them at home again.
yeah, this is where I'll flip. I'll go Ole Miss, a big 2-0 week for Chris Beard's squad. I'm all the way in on this team now after watching the last couple games at Alabama and then at Mississippi State. 1-1 over that stretch, but still it just gives me a lot of confidence in this team. Physicality, defense, experience. They kind of have it all. Enough guys make shots late.
Yes. Another Saturday one. Houston travels to Kansas. Houston is a very good metrics team. Um, still have still lack a really strong resume. Like their good wins are like West Virginia at home, like BYU, like at UCF recently, which was not a close one, but not it was a
An
close one.
impressive one,
Not
yeah.
a dominant win. Give me Houston to win at Kansas. So they need a huge resume win. Their defense is gonna be all over Kansas. And I don't know if this has changed. Okay. They had the best 3-point percentage in the country the other day, which was not something I really had on my bingo card. I really would have like thought. They're third right now in the country, but that's just a fact that I'm going to point out. Not a team that shoots a ton
Yeah.
of threes, but yes. Anyway,
274th in 3-point rate.
yes. Kansas is a very good team. Little questionable at times. I think they're going to lose, even with one of the best home courts in the country.
I'll say I want Houston to win. I've been a big hyper of Houston throughout the season, even without the big wins yet. But I don't. This just screams Allen Fieldhouse. Like the Houston bigs get in foul trouble early. Zeke Mayo or somebody has a really big game. Kansas squeaks one out at home. I don't. That's just the vibe I get here.
We will see it. And going back to the SEC, last game of our pick'em thing. Tennessee at Auburn. Give me Auburn here. Yeah, I it's Auburn. Probably won't have Janai Broom. Don't know the status of him exactly, but I'm not super in on Tennessee with their offense has been fading a little bit. Chazelier isn't as good as his hot start. Auburn is still a pretty solid team, even when they don't have Broom.
Yeah,
One at Georgia, beat Mississippi State very comfortably at home. Both games without Broom, both big wins. They're going to beat Tennessee at home.
yeah. I went Auburn as well. I think it would be a bit of a stretch if Broom were to play. I think Bruce Pearl would hold him out for another couple of days just to get that rest. You don't need him back for this game. I don't know if Chaz Lanier can put up another big time performance in the jungle. Has struggled in SEC play, so yeah, I fading Auburn in the jungle would not be a smart thing to do. So I'll go with Auburn to finish that
Yes.
out.
Yes. And that is our last game of our picks. So we will wrap up the podcast now, unless you have any more notes to add on. But
Yeah, we can get on out of here. It's been probably 90
yes.
minutes or so.
Yes, gave some good content, touched on a lot of different things. Appreciate everyone for listening. Just a reminder, if you want to stay up to date on everything we're doing, make sure to follow our social media platforms at Hoop School Media, Instagram, Twitter/X. Make sure to follow Luke at College Hoops Outlet on Instagram, CHO Talk Sports on Twitter/X. And yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube. And yeah, we don't know our schedule super well with school and stuff, but shout
We'll
out
try to
to
find some
ML.
Sunday nights or something.
Yes. Shout out MLK Day giving us this opportunity to podcast without school. Still got practice and stuff today, but I would be in class like nearly about now.
So,
Anyway,
some good daytime hoops on the docket too today. So,
yes. Who do we got tonight in this national championship game? I don't
ooh,
even know if the podcast will be out before the game, so and no one will probably listen to it before the game, but give me Ohio State. I
I'll
kind of
go Ohio State. I think they're sizable favorites. I don't. Yeah,
I don't
my
fair
my
enough.
pick had been Texas from before the playoffs, so I'll ride with the team that beat them.
Yeah. I like Marcus Freeman though, so I don't know. We'll see. I don't really
Fair
care who
enough.
wins, honestly. I have not watched. I've watched decent amount of college football. But once college basketball season started, I have like hardly watched any college football.
Yeah, I'll turn the game on as soon as Rutgers Penn State finishes.
That maybe what I will do as well. Anyway, though, we will see you next time, whenever that next time is. But appreciate everyone. Sure to stay connected with us, follow all of our social media platforms. And yeah, we will see you next time.